Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of Frail Conversations. Today, I'm going to be talking about focus. Um, I had a conversation with one of my brothers the other day, and he was like, "Hey, bro, how?" He said, "How do you maintain your focus with the things that you do?" And you know, sometimes moments happen when you're not motivated. Moments happen when you don't want to be disciplined, or whatever the case may be. But how do you maintain that focus? And I'm learning that focus, and I have learned that is focus is a habit. Focus is a lifestyle. Focus isn't something that you can turn on and turn off, just as motivation and discipline are as well. You either got it or you don't. And when it comes to us as men, especially black men, it's like your focus is directly tied to your entertainment. It's focused is directly tied to what can entertain you. You hear me say all the time what entertainment means etymologically. Like, enter means to go in, tain means to hold, and ment means the mind. So your focus is directly tied to what can go in and hold your mind. You know what I mean? And when it's time to be focused, you have to surround yourself with, first you have to understand what you're specifically doing and what you need to be focused on, and you have to wire yourself to be entertained by it. You have to be wired to be entertained by the things that you have to focus on. We've allowed ourselves to be entertained by simple shit. Mainly, the physical aesthetic of women, quote unquote, getting money, and real basic shit. You feel me? Those are all things that you should be focused on, but your focus needs to have a well-defined understanding before you can just hop in and tap in, because you have to know what entertains you. You have to know how you are entertained. To be focused is not just like concentration. It is not just like spending time with one thing. It is that it is so you're so enthralled in something, your mind is so held by it that nothing can shake it left or right. And anything that can shake it has to be tied to focus. It has to be tied to connected to what you're focused on anyway. So developing focus is first acknowledging, where your mind is. There's three levels of the mind. Three modalities of the mind: conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. Your focus needs to be so rooted down into anywhere between the subconscious and unconscious mind that it just becomes a lifestyle. It just becomes what you do. And you learn to tap into what you're focused on. Simultaneously, you learn to understand what entertains you. If you don't know what entertains you, you'll never know what you could be focused on. If you don't know what entertains you, you can never be motivated or disciplined in anything, because that aspect and component of your mind is where your true self really needs to shine the most. Cole was saying, if niggas put half what they were doing, if niggas put half what they put in chasing ass into a crab right now, they'd be famous and rich, right? And in regards to how he spoke, that is heavily, I feel that's heavily tied to your focus, because the things that we allow to consume our attention, you know what I mean? A lot of motherfuckers be thinking, oh, this person got ADHD. It's not that. And you know what? ADHD, I think that's a really a taboo thing. And I really think it's bullshit, to be honest. Simply because I feel ADHD is just a means of not acknowledging the fact that you're easily entertained by everything. That's why you don't have an attention. Which is why it's hard to focus. Focus isn't just like, focus isn't something outside of you can dictate. You have to learn how to strengthen that aspect. And that's, as I said, it ties to your entertainment and what you allow to entertain you and hold your attention. We're in this age now where the average person, the average human, has an attention span of fucking 6 seconds. A goldfish has an attention span of 8. So it's like motherfuckers can't focus longer than a damn goldfish. That's some crazy shit. You feel what I'm saying? Goldfish don't do shit but swim in a bowl and eat when they hungry. That's it. You can't focus longer than a fucking goldfish. That's just crazy. But before I dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at the Justine Podcast. Um, be sure to check out my website at iamjustseen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor the podcast, you are greatly appreciative, and you're appreciated. I'm appreciative of you. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you could do so by clicking the link in the description of your podcast. Not the episode, but the podcast itself. Cash App and PayPal work just fine. And as always, that's this for that, and that's that for this. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into So Frail Conversations. Focus. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit iamjustseen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit iamjustseen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit iamjustseen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit iamjustseen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit iamjustseen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit iamjustseen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at iamjustseen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit iamjustseen.com. All right. Welcome back. And without further ado, we're going to get started. So focus. I'm focused, man. Nah. As I said, focus is tied to your entertainment and what can entertain you. You know what I mean? We live in an age and a society that all of our entertainment is in our phones. All of our entertainment is visual. All of our entertainment is digital. All of our entertainment is sensory. It you know what I'm saying? Sensory and sensual. It appeals directly to our senses, right? So one of the first aspects of really tapping in and honing into what you can focus on is to understand your senses, specifically the senses of sight, the sense of sight and the sense of touch. Those are the two biggest aspects, and sound as well. Sight, touch, and sound. Those three senses are really what heavily ties to your focus. You know, that which can catch your ear when you hear it, that which can catch your eye when you see it. You feel me? And that which you touch. When you put those three things together, like learning how to master those senses is what's going to keep you focused, because you can be writing something, you could be working on something, and a sound can go off and it can throw you completely off, or it can put you on. You feel what I'm saying? So when it comes to focusing, it's like what music do you readily listen to because that entertains you? And within the context of these three senses, tie that back into entertainment. Like, how are you entertained according to the appeal of these senses? You feel what I'm saying? Some people say, okay, I want to be focused on becoming, say, a better person, but all they listen to is shit that is not in line with that. This is not to say, wake up in the morning and always listen to motivational speeches and shit like that, because a motivational speech is a facade. That is just something that you need to influence you. It doesn't motivate you. You feel me? Motivation is not something you can get from somebody else. Your motivation is not something you can get from everybody else. Like, they can spark it or whatever the case may be, but you got to keep it. They can only, like, a motivational speaker can only overcome inertia, right? So the things that you're listening to, if you listen to music about shit that has nothing to do with the shit that you want to focus on, you're not going to be focused on it. You feel what I'm saying? Leveraging sounds and leveraging certain things can help you tie your focus in. You feel what I'm saying? You can program your mind to, when you hear a certain sound, I'm focused on this. You feel what I'm saying? It's in a book called The Battle for the Mind. It's like a green book. I forgot who wrote the book. But it's a real good book. It talks about Pavlov's dogs and how in the experiment he got the dogs so wired to hearing a bell that they would salivate, because when the bell hit, it was time for them to eat. And he got them to a point where they were eating at the sound of the bell. Then he took that away. So anytime they heard the bell, they salivated. They salivated. That sound made them focus on food, period. You feel what I'm saying? And tying that into how well that tying into how well that was wired into them through it penetrating their unconscious mind, they were entertained, and what went and held their mind, that soul sound could trigger them, control their mind. You feel what I'm saying? And entertain them. You know, when you're tying the things into sound, you have to look at it from the perspective of the sounds that you hear are heavily tied to how things can make you focus. You feel what I'm saying? And if you're not focused on a regular basis, right, you lose sight of how well you need to be disciplined for the things that you do. You feel what I'm saying? But this is why it can become tricky, because it can become a crutch. Because when you start to associate certain sounds with your focus and your motivation and things of that nature, only those sounds can trigger you. So if there's no sound in that, like people have workout playlists when they get ready to go work out and shit, it's like, if I'm not hearing those sounds, I don't have it. You know, you got to overcome that, and you got to be able to do it with or without. Anything that you use to stimulate your focus does not need to be what dictates your focus. Stimulation and dictation are different things. So you can't rely on things to dictate your reality if you want to be focused. Only you have to do that. And you're supposed to use and leverage the things around you to make those things more viable, more fruitful for you. Right. So that's the sound aspect. So sight is another thing. Like I said, your visual acuity. So these are the things you see on Instagram. These are the things you see on social media. That which you've already been wired to focus on is going to be, a lot of us have already been programmed to focus on ass. This is in the book, I think, but Behold the Pale Horse. Motherfuckers is talking about how they can get little Johnny, this little black boy, or whatever the case may be, to be stuck on only one ass and nothing more. It's like we're gonna put music videos, we're gonna have the videos, and we're gonna let them see this all the time, no matter what. And when you think about the visual connection to it, no matter what songs we hear, no matter what visual it is, there's always some women shaking ass. You feel me? So no matter what we hear, every sound has to be associated with that. So that's what we focus on. You feel me? It's by design. So you have to learn how to when you see things on social media, like what holds your focus is going to be your algorithm. You feel me? Your algorithm is what you focus on the most. So let's take it out of just social media and look at it in real life. What algorithm does the universe provide for you? What algorithm have you shown the universe that this is what you want to be around? This is what builds your focus. This is what you like to focus on. You feel what I'm saying? I have multiple algorithms that I've developed for myself universally, as far as day trading and investing, the topics that I need for my podcast, my books, all the different things, where more so they developed, like my focus to get them done was like, I'm only going to surround myself with those things. You feel what I'm saying? When I knew that I was going to be writing So Frail 3, for example, I tapped out of everything that wasn't So Frail 3. So I would reread So Frail 1, I would reread So Frail 2, listen to So Frail conversations, keep my mind focused and keep my mind tied to, this is what my focus is. This is what my focus needs to be, And it's like, yo, how does focus tie into everyday reality if there's not the right things to stimulate it? You feel what I'm saying? And like I was saying, it ties into sight, and then, the other aspect of touch. The things we touch the most, tying it, like social media is very, very impactful to keep our focus, because it simultaneously uses all three of these things: the sight, the touch, and the sound. You feel me? The sight is, the double taps, the likes, the comments, the notifications. That also ties into the sound too. That's why those bells are there. Like, that's why one of the things that I do with social media is I keep my phone on silent, because I have to be active on social media for the shit that I do. But I can't be active on social media for the shit that I do, because it's a rabbit hole. Because anything I double tap, anything I associate with, your explore page shows you what you focused on. If you ever need a reasoning to know what it is that you focused on, look at your algorithm, look at your feed, and then look at your explore page. That's showing you where your focus is. That just gives you a glimpse to look inside it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just from one social media aspect. You dig what I'm saying? If you're not willing to make the necessary changes, this is not saying that you have to stay off social media, but like intentionally use it. Start liking things that you want to focus on. So one thing that I used to do as far as keeping myself straight when I'm on social media is I only interacted and engaged and liked with the things that I needed to be focused on. You feel what I'm saying? I remember when I was writing Hitting It Raw, everything social media wise was about plant-based and vegan shit. You feel what I'm saying? And the reason why I had to be that way is because that's what my focus needed to be on. You know what I'm saying? If I'm scrolling and I've been on too long, something is gonna show up that's plant-based wise. That's gonna trigger me. All right, you ain't on your shit. All right, do what you need to be doing. But when your algorithm is so chaotic, it is so when your algorithm when your algorithm is chaotic, your focus is off. Your focus is chaotic. You can't. And I don't mean just from a social media aspect. Your universal algorithm, because we all have things that the universe sees us talk about the most. The universe sees us engage with the most. That says, okay, I'm gonna put this in your life. You know, I talk about the Wheel of Fortune path and the Wheel of Fortune card and tarot about how it's about creating karma. The things that you do, it's like that is a part of your algorithm. The very shit that you put into your life, the very shit that you put into your world the most, the universe is gonna show it to you. You know, I haven't said this in a long time, but I'm gonna bring it back. For those who have been day one listeners, you know what I'm about to say. One of my favorite songs when I was young was I Love Bad Bitches, That's My Problem. I was around bad bitches all the time. I focused on bad bitches. You feel me? I had them. I had them like a motherfucker, but that's all I focused on. But was it my own focus? That's another question that we're gonna turn to that. Was it my own focus or was it the focus that entertainment had allowed me to tap into? You feel what I'm saying? You want to know how wired your focus is to just sight, touch, and sound and shit? Peep this, especially sight. When you see a beautiful woman or you see a woman that's physically appealing to you, what's the first thing you look at? Her ass. You feel me? It's like, damn, that ass fat. That's your focus. That's what you're continually focused on. You feel what I'm saying? Can you look her in the eyes? Do you look at her hair? Do you look at her lips? Do you look at, you know, and then even in that, most of the shit that we actually look at is tied to something sexual in some way, shape, or form. Pussy, titties, ass, lips, like those things are, you know, how do you focus on more? You focus on more through exposing yourself to more and exposing yourself to what you want to focus on. Discipline is not hard. Motivation is not hard. Focus is not hard if you understand what it is that you need to focus on. You feel me? So the conversation that I was having with the homie and shit, you know, he was like, man, I got moments when I can get focused, but then I can easily get off. I said, because the moments that you get focused, that's your conscious mind that is focusing. You got to learn how to rewire your unconscious mind so your focus is a lot deeper. You feel what I'm saying? Your focus is a lot deeper. Like I know people who be like, yeah, I'm trying to read a book, but every time I read a paragraph, I got to keep rereading it because your focus is off. You're not focusing on the book. You're not focusing on the content of finishing this book. You're not focusing on finishing this book. And you're not focused on the content within the book. You're focused on getting through a book or trying to read it. You know what I'm saying? Your focus needs an intention. You know, it needs something that, okay, what am I using this? Why am I using this to hold my mind, entertain myself? Why am I using this to go in and hold my mind? How does this go in and hold my mind? When you answer those questions, you can sit with those, you understand what you need to do to focus yourself. You feel what I'm saying? Meditation is good, but everybody doesn't need to meditate. You feel me? Meditation really and truly doesn't teach you, well, it does teach you how to focus on one thing. You know what I'm saying? 3 things that I use when I'm meditating is well, really 2, is I have my visual acuity, where I start off with a shape. I hold a specific shape. You know, I actually break this down to get my mind centered to where whatever thoughts come, I can focus. So my meditative practice is this. I start off geometry. I start off with shapes and symbols. Then I go into colors. Then I go into sounds, right? And then in my mind's eye, I'm able to trigger sounds. I'm able to trigger my sound and my sight and my hearing as well. You feel what I'm saying? It's a little bit different than the touch because the touch, I'm not moving. You feel me? That is a different aspect. I'm focusing on resisting what I feel. So it's like, as soon as you start meditating, you want to move, especially if you're sitting still. Because meditation, contrary to popular belief, is that it's not about it. Meditation actually uses every muscle in your body because stillness, being still, requires a lot of activity. I don't think people really get that, but that's where focus is. A lot of people can't sit still because they can't focus themselves. So when I'm doing my meditation, like I said, first thing I start off with is a single dot. From the dot, I create the line. From the line, I create the two-dimensional shape, squares, circles, or whatever the case may be. Then from there, I create the three-dimensional shape, and I hold that in my mind. All other things get blocked out, and I focus on the shape. From there, I go into the elements: earth, fire, water, air. Yeah, earth, fire, water, air. Or I'll do it in order how I do it: earth, water, fire, air, sound, light, thought. Right. I sit with each of these elements in my mind, visualizing them, segueing out of that from the core of the geometric shape that I just sat with. Right. Then from there, I go into one of the hardest parts to do. And I say it's only hard because it was hard getting to it. Now I'm at a position where I can do it easily. I visualize a color in my mind. So I close my eyes, I visualize a color. I go through the whole spectrum: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Right. And then ultimately I go into the black, and then I meditate on sounds. You feel what I'm saying? To hear a sound within your mind's eye is different, or your inner ear. It's a little bit different, but learning how to hear certain sounds. One thing that I used to always do was the fur release. I meditate on sounds that are just music. You feel me? The fur release literally runs through all seven. At some point, it runs through all seven notes. So you have, what is it? C, D, E, F, G, B, A. So all seven of those notes. And then I try to add in the flats and the flats and the sharps and different things like that. And then I go through that spectrum and I sit and hear the sound. You feel what I'm saying? And the ability to hear the sound, I'm able to tap into myself without having external things. So sometimes I do listen to solfeggio sounds so I can focus on the external thing, but then I mainly sit with focusing on the internal thing because it's that internal aspect that really creates my focus. And then from there, once I've gotten my mind programmed and set and situated to focusing, now when the thoughts come, I'm able to sit with that thought and break it down and fully dissect it and go deeper down the levels, because the focus is not just holding my attention. It's holding my attention to create an intention. You feel what I'm saying? But I have to be the one who allows that to entertain me. So like I said, entertainment, as we know, is going in to hold the mind, right? Your focus is derived on how well you're able to entertain yourself. A lot of us need outside stimulants to entertain ourselves. And this now segues into creativity, sacral chakra energy. But to entertain yourself is hard to do because you got to be creative to do that, you know? And when we're not creative, we rely on creators to entertain us, you know? Social media is big on that. That's why they call these motherfuckers content creators or influencers, because they're creating the very shit to hold your attention. You feel me? I said it in a couple entrepreneur episodes, where I was like, the social media algorithm is about how well you can keep people on the app, how well you can keep people focused on you. You know, what do you have to do? Do you have to dance? You got to jump around and shit like that. Look at some of the most focus driven TikToks and reels and Instagram videos and posts and shit like that. There's imagery tied to it. Does this imagery automatically triggers colors that you naturally focus on, that you're naturally wired to focus on? You feel what I'm saying? Does this tie into which realms you're going to focus? When you know what you naturally focus on, reverse engineer that shit within yourself. You know, this is not to say though, like leverage, like shaking ass and shit, because that takes away from your intention. When you see ass is to lust over it. You know what I mean? Instantly, when you see a chick shaking ass, you're like, I'd fuck her. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't even know what to do. It creates a facade in our minds of what we have intertwined within ourselves and allowed ourselves to be intertwined with. So your focus is hard to maintain and hard to establish when you're in that space and in that pocket of trying to trying to connect with something that you should not be connecting with, you know? So that segues a little bit because focus is about how well you connect, not attach, connect. Our focus is driven by attachment, you know? This is why if it's not a certain thing, like we don't know how to disconnect from it and create something else or reconnect to something else. Connection is once the purpose has been served, it's served. Attachment is that purpose has to constantly be served and stimulated, and it starts to dictate your reality. You dig what I'm saying? Hope you're walking with me on that. So focusing is a powerful tool. It's a powerful resource, but it's a power and a resource within itself. You feel what I'm saying? Being able to focus in a bland world, like this is why it's like overstimulation of the senses disrupts your focus. We don't know how to control what stimulates us. You know, Rarely do we do that. Like we focus on the very things that, keep us and take us away from the world. I'm gonna say the earth. They take us away from the earth and put us in the world. Even from a biblical perspective, they say be in the world, not of the world. You know what I'm saying? Which means focus on, it doesn't mean this, but it can be implied that you focus on the things that need to be connected at the moment and sever the ties once the deed is done, you know. But we're constantly bombarded over and over and over and over again with the same shit, and that's where we focus on. So if you want to reverse engineer the shit, you don't necessarily use that as your leverage or focus. You figure out how that makes you focus. What is it about that appeals to you? And you have to find a way to make that appeal happen. You feel what I'm saying? Just like Pavlov's dogs, the theme was with Pavlov's dogs was when they hear the bell, it's to salivate after a while. Look at it from an example of watching porn or, look at what they used to call nudie mags. I don't even think they do Playboy magazines anymore. It's futile at this point. You feel what I'm saying? Because the focus has now been so physical and so hands-on that it's like, that's what you focus on. You feel me? So much so, I want to use the example of Paul's, the whole no homo thing, right? Motherfuckers is focused on that shit because their intention, low key, is tied to gay shit. Whether they own some gay shit or they're just trying to avoid some gay shit, it's gay shit. Like, and when they approach it, it's like every thought treats them to think about something weird. You feel what I'm saying? Like they're that focused on it, they don't even know it. Like I told a story about the time I was in the subway, and a guy was like, "Yo, let me get a 6-inch no homo." Like 6 inches is half of a ruler. 6 inches is a workout. Like you hold your feet 6 inches of the ground, get abs. Like there's so many different dynamics that 6 inches could trigger in a thought. But first thing motherfuckers think about is a dick. So they gotta say pause. Where's your focus? What are you focused on to where when a motherfucker says 6 inches, that's the first thing you think about is a dick? You feel me? They say shit like, yo, you can't eat, dudes got to break bananas off in pieces. I eat a banana whole. If me eating a banana makes you think about, if me eating a banana makes you envision me sucking a dick, that's on your focus is totally fucked up, but that's totally on you. That ain't got shit to do with me. You feel what I'm saying? That's how banana was made to be eaten. Build a bitch off, you bite it. If you visualize that, that shows where your focus is. That shows how wired your focus is down to your unconscious mind to where that's the first response. You feel what I'm saying? And motherfuckers wait for pause moments. Like it's sickening. It's really sickening. You feel me? I've had motherfuckers say shit like, yo, I give them all I got. Pause. Like, heard shit like, yo, you get the best of me. Pause. Why? Because everything that has been wired to that is that you're fucking a man. Your focus is on fucking men. Whether you'll fuck them or not, that's irrelevant, but that's what your focus is on, fucking a man or sexual activity from a man, which is why you have to say pause. You feel what I'm saying? I've had situations where I said something and motherfucker be like, yo, that's a pause moment. For you, nigga, I didn't say any gay shit. I didn't think any gay shit. I thought about what the fuck I expressed. But the fact that you are there and you have to keep going there, your mind is entertained by that and is held by that. And that's what your focus is on. You know, to the other side of, straight shit. This is why it's like, if I've had women tell me stories of them being in the club and shit. And, this woman I used to talk to, she went to like a silent party and dude just came up to her. Like she was built. She was thick as fuck. Like, you feel me? Nice body. But she's in a club and she telling me about it. And she was like, dude came up to her and told me, yo, you got all that ass and you ain't shaking it. All that ass for nothing and shit. She was like, the fuck that got to do with anything? I'm here like, it's the focus. When you see ass, it's supposed to be shaken. When you see ass, it's supposed to, your visualization is to fuck. You feel me? Nothing more. Nothing more. I still have those moments. I ain't even gonna hold you. I see ass and I'm like, that shit fat. I squeeze it. And you know what I'm saying? Because it's the focus. But then at the same time, you got to transcend that focus and see other things. Because it's so deeply wired. Because it's been like this since I've been watching music videos and shit since I was like 7. You feel me? And so it's like, yo, this is what I like. So when I see it, I have to now transcend that shit to say, okay, bam, what are other things that I could focus on? What are other things that I could focus on when I see a woman that would say, okay, bam. One thing that I had to program myself to as far as focusing on what I should be attracted to and what I should quote unquote lust over for a woman is her eyes. They're the windows to the soul. Eyes don't lie. When I look into a woman's eyes and I'm like, it's different. I've learned to use a woman's eyes the same way I used to use ass. Because now it triggers other things within me to say, okay, what can I focus on within her? You feel me? What will my focus now be? Because if I'm focusing on eyes and they're the windows to the soul, I've made this association. Eyes being the windows to the soul, and I know the soul is who the person really is. I'm looking in your eyes to see who you really are. And now that is what I want to focus on. Feel me? I admire the full body of a woman, but now I have to learn to focus on that. You feel me? But tying it back in, our focus is so limited to where it's all physical and it's limited into the physical. You feel me? Which is why, low key, a lot of men can comfortably come out and say trans women are women, or trans women are real women. I'm like, what? Scientifically, the word trans, from the language, from the medical perspective, from the scientific perspective, trans means artificial in many regards. How the fuck is an artificial woman a real woman? You feel me? You can hit me. You can try to hit me. Well, that's transphobic. I don't give a fuck. I'm not transphobic. I'm cisphilic. Eat a dick. You feel me? But our focus is so off because of what our senses are appealed to and what is, and this is why one of those reasons why it's like there was a certain template for the bad bitch that you had to look for. You feel me? 36, 24, 36. I know those measurements like the back of my fucking hand. Why? Because this wasn't been programmed as the dimensional aspect of what a beautiful woman is. Beautiful black woman, right? I ain't gonna say beautiful black woman at this point because it's now transition to everybody's emulating it with, the Kim K's and all the shit. Everybody's getting all the surgery and shit. To now men are getting surgery the same way to fit the same build of a bad bitch, a beautiful woman. And niggas now at this point, they saying they can't tell the difference because your focus is not wired on seeing the difference between the man. I don't give a fuck who, what, when, where, why. I know the difference between a man and a woman. I don't care how much surgery you have. I don't care how much testosterone reducer you've used and how much estrogen booster you use. Whatever suppressants that you had to take to get to that point, I can still identify a man just as easy. I can still identify a woman, a real one. It's different. It's different because you know how to focus on certain things. You know how to focus on different things, you know. But our focus has been on ass. Our focus has been programmed to be on titties. Our focus has been tied to being on a specific expression. And that's what we focus on. So anytime it entertains us, anytime, it triggers the sight, it triggers the touch, it triggers the sound, it's artificial and it's not real. But that's what we learn to focus on. You dig what I'm saying? So in the regards of, I'm gonna segue out of that, let's say looking at like business growth development, because that's what the conversation me and a brother was having. But like I said, these things flow. I don't control them. I just download the messages and I give them. So the brother was like, yo, how do I stay focused on my business? How do I stay focused on the different things that I do? It's like, you got to figure out how to make it entertain you. It's one thing to make it entertaining to another motherfucker, but if it's not entertaining to yourself first, it'll never entertain another motherfucker. Because you got to figure out what it is that makes it entertain you. And in entertaining you, that's how you're able to focus on it, which is ultimately going to lead to you being able to motivate yourself with it, which is ultimately going to be able to lead you to being disciplined with it. I'll tie it back into the relationship aspect. When your focus is tied to having a bad bitch, you have different motivation to get the number. They got this thing, little booties matter too, where it's like women with little booties feel slighted and left out because we were never taught to focus on little booties. As a man who's born again, but I've had my whole phase, I've had a lot of, like, all little women that I've involved myself with weren't necessarily thick. You feel me? Those are the ones I usually approach the most, but I've had little booties. I've had, slimmer chicks. I've had like different expressions of the woman in so many different regards that I was able to learn not to stay focused on that. And then I started to get to a point of, in my elevation of, it's no longer about how you look on my arm, it's how you feel to my soul. I focus on how my soul feels around you. I set a template for women who, if you can make my soul, I focus on you when you make me feel a certain way. You feel me? Not necessarily when you appeal to the basic five senses, but when you appeal to the supra level above the five senses, to where it's like, okay, how do you make my soul feel? Goes back into the eyes. You dig what I'm saying? Our focus when we're working, our focus has to be transitioned into different things. If your focus is getting money, entrepreneurship is going to be difficult for you. If your focus is serving a need, it's going to be easy. You dig what I'm saying? Because when you're trying to just get money, you're going to try to sell to everybody. But when you're trying to fulfill a need, you're only going to go towards the people who need this need filled. Anybody else is like, all right, you're not in my audience, I don't fuck with you. So it's easier to focus on that. Focus on the people who are able to connect with you and understand what it is you're talking about. You dig what I mean? We lose sight of focus because we're distracted by so many different things. We're easily distracted. Distraction is also tied to entertainment. All of this is going to go back into entertainment. You feel me? Breaking that down is means, to take away from or to deviate from in some way. And the tract is the course. Like, the focus is so to be distracted means that whatever entertains you, it takes you off a track. After you're distracted, you need to be retracted, protracted, different things like that. But you need to be put in line, realigned, and focusing on yourself starts all of that. I think a lot of us as men, like, we focus on accolades. We focus on titles far more than we actually focus on ourselves. Focusing on yourself is very, very powerful. It's very, very powerful and it's very, very fruitful. If you are unable to focus on yourself, you know, you'll never be able to focus. You'll never be able to know what you should focus on and what should hold your focus. Focusing on yourself is crucial. This is not to say go in hermit mode and be in isolation or anything like that. But focusing on yourself means that you are now only in a position to where you're able to affiliate with things that keep you focused on you. And I don't mean it from a narcissistic place. I don't mean it from a self-centered place. I mean it from a place of when you know who you are and you know what your purpose is and your life mission is, you're only centering around things that can enhance that. That's where your focus needs to be. And that makes it easier. Sometimes we're doing things for a check, we're doing things for a bag, and we're not doing things for our mission and our purpose. That's why we can't focus on, and then when we tap into knowing our mission and knowing our purpose, it's hard to focus because you have to get in that bag. You have to get in that bag. You have to get in that space. You have to get in that mental connection to where everything around me is tied to this. Your friends should change. Your relationship should change, and when you're more aligned with who you are. But when you're focusing on who you have to become or who you have to be, you're easily distracted because what it takes to become that can be anything. Hey, huddle up, broskies, because it's time to elevate. The secret to evolving masculinity is to define it, understand it, then apply it. The So Frail series defines masculinity as the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. From this definition, I explain how masculinity is not just the hat that we wear, but it's the essence that we must exude through application. If you enjoy the So Frail conversations, why not read the books that inspire them? Visit IamJustSeen.com right now to add the So Frail series to your library to get a better understanding of what masculinity really is. I promise. After reading So Frail, you will never look at masculinity the same again. You feel me? What does it take to be rich? What does it take to be wealthy? Now, what does it take to be myself as a wealthy person? What does it take to be myself as a rich person? We skip that part of adding that to it. That's where focus comes in. When you focus on yourself, then you make the extensions of what I want myself to achieve. It's easier to focus. You feel what I'm saying? Writing books wasn't just something about securing a bag for me. It was, I'm a writer. An extension of myself is that I'm a writer. I'm nice with words. I'm nice with putting words together. So it was, how easy is it for me to write? Like, I've had people ask me, like, yo, how do you write a book? How do you write these books with this deep content and shit like that in such short time? It's easy to focus when you know what the fuck you're supposed to be writing. My jam sessions and shit like that, like, the shit be complex sometimes and the shit be real deep, but it's real simple to me because I can focus on it because it's me. I'm not trying to, say anything hot or trying to do, I'm trying to express myself. I'm focusing on myself in this moment. So everything should be an extension of that. Like, once you learn to focus on you, you focus on what you do. Well, before you focus on what you do, you focus on who you are. Then you can focus on what you do as an extension of who you are. When I do my sessions, my one-on-one sessions for my spiritual growth, I always start the session off with, who are you? It's literally the same thing every time. Like, yo, I'm this, that, and the third. I done this. I didn't ask what you've done. I asked who you are. By the end of the session, they get what I'm saying. And then the session, I'm like, who are you? And they just repeat their name to me because they get it. That's who you are. That's who you are. And everything else should be an extension of that. The Just Seen podcast, it's easy to do for me because I talk. I speak. That's a part of who I am. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy to focus on that. It's easy to focus without being distracted and lock in for the hour and a half, 2 hours that I need to get a podcast done. And it's easier for me to eliminate distractions and just get it done. Like, my phones, I don't, like, even if they're on me, I don't look at them. I don't, you know what I mean? It's like, I can zone out and get shit done because I know what to focus on. You feel what I'm saying? A lot of us A lot of us really don't focus much because, like I said, what we're programmed to already focus on. It makes focusing very, very difficult, but it shouldn't be. You dig me? Focus shouldn't be hard, you know? So the teachers, oh, you need drugs, you need this. You don't need any of that. You need a redefining of yourself. You need a redefining of the self because you have to realize that you're focusing on who you're trying to become and who you've already became rather than who the fuck you are. That's why you have a midlife crisis. That's why you have that breakdown where it's just like, I've been doing all of this shit and then I don't feel rewarded for it. I don't feel like I'm making the progress. You're making a lot of progress. You're just not focused on what you're supposed to be doing. So it's easy to bounce around and go from different things and try shit. And I'm just going to keep trying new shit. But now when you really focus, you dive in to get shit done. You feel what I'm saying? You're willing to go the distance to put in the necessary work to have an achievement of things. You know, when I started investing in day trading, like I was focused on that. It wasn't about getting the money. It was about learning a process. It was about learning the science behind something. So it was easy for me to focus on it. Because what do you do when you're not getting the reward? Because I lost a lot. Did I give up and quit and say, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Nah, my focus said, I can figure this out. You feel what I'm saying? What is it that triggers your focus? What is it that entertains you? You feel me? I had to learn how to entertain myself with day trading and investing because I was like, I have to focus on this. You feel me? I had to find the things that are going to make this entertain me. You feel me? And submerge myself in it. You know, they say like the best way to learn something into, to stay for like to repetition. Repetition ain't enough. It's about submersion. Just because you repeat something over and over and over and over and over again doesn't mean you're gonna retain it. You have to submerge yourself in it. The deeper you're going into it, the higher the levels above it will stay with you, which makes it so much easier to focus. If you repeat the surface level of the same thing over and over again, that's where you're going to stay. But when you submerge into something, your focus shifts and your focus gets deeper into how easy it is for you to pay attention and lock in. It's not as easy when you're just trying to do something, but when you have a purpose, when you have a vision, you have an intention for it, it's easier to focus on something. A lot of us set goals. We set goals for what we want to do, but we don't set intention. It's hard to focus on a goal because goals change. Because after you experience, the moment you fail at something, you give up. Because you hear people say shit like, "Oh, what's for me is for me. I ain't gonna have to work." I ain't bullshit. You can't focus. You can't focus on what's not for you. That's why you give up. That's why you feel like what's for you, you ain't gonna have to work for it, whatever the case may be. You gonna have to focus on it to make it yours. Again, back to the Wheel of Fortune path. Karma is what you create. Anything you want in this world, you have to make it yours, but you have to focus on it enough to bring it into reality. You feel me? We look at magic and shit. Magic is basically just focusing on some shit enough to bring it into reality. You don't need wands. You don't need hocus pocus. You don't need all of that shit. We mystified the shit to where it's so high up, but it starts with focus. Focus and intention. When your intention is set, then you lock on and focus on it. You feel what I mean? Your intention is to hit a certain thing, then your focus is to make that thing a reality. And you'll make that thing a reality easily. But you got to focus. You feel me? And again, being with focus is like, how well is this going to entertain you? You know, how well is your mind going to be wrapped into it and tied directly to what it is that you're trying to focus on? Focus isn't hard. From focus, you can get motivated. From motivation, you can get discipline. Discipline isn't a punishment. Discipline is not a punishment. It is not, we have tied it to punishment through whoopings and punishments and all of these different things of, you got to stay on restrictions and shit like that. But that's not discipline. Discipline is when you're focusing. Ooh, I like to say it like, I'm gonna like it like this. Discipline is the repetition of focus. The more focused you are, the more disciplined you'll be. And the less motivated you have to be. Because there's moments like, it's like people say, well, What do you do when you don't feel like doing shit? Because there's days I'm not like, there's days when I don't feel like recording a podcast episode. You feel what I'm saying? Hell, the last week they didn't drop in the right time they were supposed to drop. I ain't feel motivated, but I still had to get them done because the focus was still there. When you focused on something for real, you'll get a nagging feeling. That's when your conscience starts to kick in because you'll get a nagging feeling that, yo, I got to do this. You're not focused on something if it doesn't constantly enter your mind when you're not thinking about it. That's when you know you focus for real. You dig what I mean? If we want to tie it to relationships, this is one of the reasons why monogamy is hard for men, because our focus is on a woman, not the woman. So when you're focused on a woman, any woman can suffice. Any woman will suffice when the focus is on something simple. But when the focus is on the woman, one individual woman, you're going to start creating and doing shit, focusing on shit that'll get you closer to her. I promise you. I promise you, it's what happens. Now you have to look at it from that perspective of what's happening to my life as I focus on her. Because I've had good relationships, I've had bad relationships, but in those relationships, I was focused on that woman. You feel me? Is my focus on her causing me detriment? Focus doesn't always have to be good or bad. Like, learn to view it objectively. You feel what I'm saying? Because you could focus on something so heavily that you forget the insanity that it's creating within you. You feel me? Something will not be working for you and you will be so enthralled in it and so intertwined in what is happening that you're focused on it, but you're not focused on what it's doing to you. Focus is a little bit deeper than just staying locked on to something. Because in being locked on to something, you have to observe, is this for the best part of my life or the worst part of my life? You feel what I mean? When I look at brothers who say shit like, yo, my baby mama crazy, she did that and the third, it's like, bitches ain't shit, blah, blah, blah. Your focus is on ain't shit bitches. Respectfully. You feel what I'm saying? That's what your focus is on. But then when you get with a woman who's actually something for you, oh, she corny, she this, she don't do what I need her to do, because you don't know how to focus on good shit. You don't know how to focus on a healthy relationship with a woman. You only know how to focus on bad bitches. You feel me? When it comes to, elevating and getting in a position for a job, you don't know how to focus on the positive outcome. Like, I remember when I was starting to get promoted in a job, my focus was the promotion. Like, when your focus is the end goal, everything that's necessary to get there, it's irrelevant. You're going to do it. You're going to get it done. But when your focus is on the individual tasks that lead up to that point, you feel me? You can become intimidated easily if you don't want to do those things. You feel me? This is what has to be done to achieve this goal. Everything else is non-negotiable. I don't give a fuck how uncomfortable you get. I don't give a fuck how displeased you are with the outcomes or whatever things that happen in between time. The ultimate goal is what I focus on. And I'm going to get there. You feel what I'm saying? So when those moments happen, your focus is seeing the end goal. And what's in between doesn't matter. Like, you ever ran a race and okay, bam, I want to run like 5 laps. Laps 1, 2, and 3, you don't even pay attention to. Maybe not even 4. You may even be able to get all the way into 5, but you only start focusing on the end happening when you're close to the finish line. That's when you focus on the end, because what you were already wired to focusing on is now coming. You feel what I'm saying? Now, do I redirect my focus? Like, okay, what do I do when I achieve this? I no longer have to focus on it. Now I can focus on something else. One thing that keeps us bound is once we have something that we focus on, we don't know how to refocus and create and focus on something new, something more. So we stay there in it. It's like, yo, you don't have to focus here anymore. Focus on something else. When I was first learning how to day trade and shit, I would always focus on the new material that I just learned or the new trick or whatever the case may be, the new process that I just learned, but I forgot to focus on the full dynamic of it. So I'll be trying this one thing and it'll not work. I'm like, why is this not working? Because you're not focusing on the full picture. You feel me? You're not focusing on the full picture. I had to take a step back and say, after I learned something, do not forget to use everything that is still working, that still needs to be done. You feel me? That still needs to be done. Because if you're not able to focus on those things, or if you're forgetting to focus on that because you're so busy focusing on the final picture, you'll start to lose. And then now you start to doubt yourself because what you're focusing on is just one aspect of the whole thing. But you still need the whole thing as your focus. You dig what I mean? Like when I was learning how to correlate charts and shit, my focus was just correlating charts. It wasn't on picking it wasn't right. It wasn't on actually doing the trades anymore. And so when I first started, I was like, yo, why the fuck? I said, I know how to do this shit. Why the fuck am I losing? It's like, oh, I'm not focusing on the pocket. I'm not focusing on the pullback. I'm not focusing on the battlefield. I'm not focusing on the final push. I'm not focusing on the wicks and the probes. I'm not focusing it. I'm focusing solely on correlation. You need to focus on the whole thing. You dig what I mean? So that's another extension of your focus. As you accumulate the skills and the resources, keep that focus to know what else has to go into it. You don't just lose after you achieve the focus. After you focus on something, you achieve it. You don't just lose it and then focus. You have to figure out how to still incorporate that into the next level. But you have to maintain that focus. Focus is hard overall. Like I said, when you don't know what's entertaining your mind. So at the time, like I was saying, correlation is what had entertained my mind, not trading as a whole anymore, just correlation. Then I had to stop, take a step back, take a break, clear everything, and say, don't forget to focus on everything. So now I know the full process of the full trade. I need to correlate. I need to pocket pullback. I need all of these things. Then I'm like, now I'm focused again. Now I'm focused. You feel what I mean? When you learn the full capacity on how to focus as a man, as they say, you become a dangerous motherfucker. But you always got to ask yourself, what is it that I'm supposed to focus on? Where's my focus on? You feel what I'm saying? Sex is easy to focus on. Getting women is easy to focus on because you've been focusing on it all your life. Now you have to consciously define what it is that you want out of your life and how to figure out how to focus on that. You feel me? Are there books that you're supposed to be reading? Are there, interviews and webinars and shit that you're supposed to be participating in? What things are supposed to entertain your mind to keep your focus? You dig what I'm saying? Because the moment it's off, it's off. But the moment it's on, it's on. You feel what I'm saying? What are you focusing on? When people would be like, yo, manifestation works so fast for people. Manifestation works for focused people. It works fast for focused people. When you say, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to have, your manifestation happens as long as you stay focused on it. You can't diddly daddle, whatever that word is, dilly dally or whatever. Can't dip in and dabble just a little bit. You have to be all committed in and focus on what it is that you want. What it is that you want to have, what it is that you're going to have, what it is that you will have in your fucking life. Focus on that. You feel me? Because that's what you're going to see. It's like this, yo. It's really just like this. You ever notice how when you buy a new car, you feel me? Suddenly you see your car everywhere. It's like, you were never focused on your car before because you didn't have it. And then eventually, once the car gets old to you, you no longer see it anymore. You feel me? We get wrapped up in the focusing aspect of so much that we don't look at the full gamut of how powerful focus really is. What you focus on, you will see. And you will see more of to keep you focused on it. You dig what I'm saying? But it's like if you had no reason to focus on it, it won't show up in your life. Even while it's showing up in your life, it be right fucking there and don't be right there until it's time for you to focus on it. I ain't gonna say until it's time for you to focus on it, until you make the choice to focus on it. You feel what I mean? When you decide, I want to be an entrepreneur, and you really serious, you're gonna meet a lot of entrepreneurs, you're gonna meet a lot of different things. But you have to focus on those things in order for those things to come to you. You feel me? Your focus is rooted heavily into your unconscious mind and your intentions for life. You dig what I'm saying? Every relationship, every encounter, everything that you want out of life, you got to focus on it. Motherfuckers be like, I want a woman who's going to be my peace. But focus on chaotic women. The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you speak about the most. And what you speak about the most is what your focus is on. I hear it all the time. I just need a woman who's going to be my peace. I was literally just watching a video. Kevin Samuels, he was schooling the dude. Dude was like, he said he feel like black women are his enemy. You feel me? And Kevin Samuels like, so what do you do for a living? He said, I'm a musician and an Uber driver. He said, black women ain't your enemy. He said, your pockets are your enemy. You feel me? Your focus is on the wrong shit. Your focus is on the wrong shit. You think you're not getting ahead because of black women? No, you not getting ahead because you not focused on getting the fucking head. You feel what I'm saying? And better yet, not even that you're not focused on getting ahead, you're focused on blaming somebody else for your failures. You're focused on blaming somebody else for what you can't do. That's the part of the baby boy complex. Rather than focusing on how to do something, we spend more time focusing on why we're not getting it or why the world isn't working for us. Like my pops used to always say shit like, you know, and I saying always, like I always talk to the nigga and shit, but nah, I mean, in the context of certain conversations, like, the white man won't let me have nothing. Your focus saying that the white man won't let you have nothing, won't let you have shit. Because now your focus is that he has to allow me to do something. He ain't God. You just elevated him to the position of God because you say God does it. Like, we got to be careful with the shit that we choose to focus on. You feel me? I've never in my life focused on what I couldn't do. That's the secret to all of this shit. Like, segueing it back to the homie I was talking to. He was like, bruh, how do you just stay focused and motivated? I don't focus on what I can't do. I don't focus on what I can't do or what I won't do. I focus on what I can do and what I will do. That's it. That's it. Yeah, the shit gets hard. The obstacles come and everything like that. But my focus is not what I can't do. You feel me? When I was a kid, my mom used to always say, take can't out your vocabulary. You cannot say can't around me. You cannot use can't. And I'm glad that she instilled that within me. Now I'm at the point where motherfuckers be like, yo, it may take me a little longer. I do not believe that I can. I'm not focused on what I can't do. I do not focus on what I can't do. I do not focus on what I won't do. I focus on what I can do and what I will do. And I focus on how to do the shit. How to make it happen. How to get there. Focus ain't hard. It's what you choose to put your focus into. My mind is entertained by the fact that I will do something. It's one thing to write down a goal and think, okay, I'm writing it down so it comes into reality. No, you have to focus on that shit. Focus on exactly what the hell you want out of that circumstance and go get it. Go through the necessary steps to get it. You know, I talk to people who say shit like, you gonna need help. I don't need help from you. I need help from what's aligned with my focus. You can't just get help from everybody because that's reassurance. That's not advice. That's not growth. That's not development. When you focus on something and you intentionally focus on it, what's supposed to help you with it will show up and you'll be able to see what you don't need. I mean, you're able to see what you need or what you're lacking because you're focused on it. You feel me? You ever had a situation where you just like, Yo, it just aligned and this happened. You focused on it. It didn't just align. It's been there all the time, but your focus allowed you to see it. You dig what I mean? Your focus allowed you to see it. I have moments where motherfuckers be like, yo, you stubborn and you hard-headed, because they could be telling me something and I can overlook it because my focus is like so wired that I don't think that they're in alignment with what I'm focused on. So I don't listen. You feel me? That's a downside to it. I can be so focused that I can't listen to anything outside of that. But this is one of the reasons why when I talk about, like religion, spirituality and shit like that, this is why I call myself an ominous. This is why I say I study and I'm open to so many different things, because when I'm focused, I can get it from anywhere. Like when I told a story about the homeless man who taught me marketing. My focus wasn't on the fact that he was homeless. My focus was on the fact that I need to learn how to market and advertise myself. What better way? And now this is why I'm saying, like, sometimes you got to see the undercurrent. What better way to learn how to market yourself from a person who gets money with having nothing, literally? It's one thing to learn from a master marketer who's like, I do this shit. But what about a motherfucker who completely got it from nothing? They literally have to do this on a regular basis. It's like, how do you make these motherfuckers give you money? His focus was not that I'm homeless. His focus was not that I'm helpless. His focus that you about to give me some money. And he got the money. And what aligned him was the people that were willing to give a homeless man money, or the people who were willing to give the type of homeless man he was money. He focused on it. He locked in and focused 100% on it. Therefore, when the time came, he knew what to see. Like we was telling me, he's like, yo, see, this person ain't gonna give me no money, but this person will. He was able to start to see, because his focus was so intertwined and so tunneled that the only thing that mattered was the focus of getting money. Getting the money from the people who are willing to, like, he didn't waste his time with the wrong motherfuckers. You feel what I'm saying? And as men, that's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to not being homeless, but we need to get back to being so focused that all we can see is what we're focused on. You feel me? Not distracted by, but focused on. This is why, like, focus and distraction are so close and so the opposite sides of the same coin. You be distracted for a long time because your focus ultimately changes. When I realized that the type of women that I was involving myself with were either going to grow me or make me stagnant, I had to change that. So I started to focus on relationships with women who could make me grow. And in those relationships, it was never nagging. It was never no shit like that. It was just, I'm focused on this and you're aligning with my focus, rather than distracting me from it. When we live in a mentality and a mindset of opposites attracting and, women, being our counterparts and all of this other nut shit, that takes us out of the game. No, this is why I say like mind, like body, like soul. That's why I'm big on that shit, because I need to know that if I focus on you, I don't lose focus. If I focus on you, my focus stays. I've been with women who's like, as I focused on them, I stopped moving. I've also been with women who the moment I focused on them, my life said, pew. I did shit at an astronomical rate solely because of who I focused on. But my focus had to already be there for her to even show up as a means of, this is what I want. You feel me? When you focused on something, you focus deeply on it, everything that comes into your life as a means of you focusing on it is supposed to be aligned. You're going to have your distractors too, but it's your focus that's going to tell you, nah, this ain't going to work. This just ain't going to work. And you got to be willing to accept that. But it has to be tied to your focus. If your focus is on minuscule shit, guess what's going to happen to your life? All you're going to see is minuscule shit. You can want and desire this great, grand, life and live like a rapper and live like a whatever. If you're not focused on it, it ain't gonna happen. If you're not focused on the work it's going to take, let me say it like that, because you can be focused on having a goal, but if you're not focused on the work of the goal, if you're not focused on working towards it, the focus is pointless. You'll easily be distracted because you'll be able to gravitate towards things that create the illusion for what you're focused on, which ultimately distracts you. You're only distracted by illusions because it starts off good and shit like that. Like I said, I was talking to a woman who was on some, you know, she went on a trip or something like that. She was talking about how the people that she went with, they rented a black car, a black Tahoe or Yukon or some shit, all blacked out. She was like, yo, this is some real boss shit. Just, that's not boss shit. And I started to think, you're distracting me. And I had to figure out where I got distracted at, because my focus started off cool when I met you and I aligned. But how was I able to get distracted? What was it? Because you're no longer aligning, because it's like, fuck renting a car. Like, my thing is like, how is that bullshit? Because you're renting a black car. That's a liability. And that's my thing. It's like, but at that moment, I should have realized I'm being distracted. You feel me? And then my focus started to change. And when your focus when your focus changes towards what's distracting you, you change trajectories. Next thing you know, you're wondering, yo, why the fuck is like my life stuck and stagnant? Because it was only progressing when you were focusing on progressive shit. You're focusing on a distraction. When you get back online and you start focusing on that shit again, yeah, it'll work. Like, you feel me? Meeting amazing women who make you focus in focusing on your shit, it makes your focus better for them and it just makes you grow. Those are the type of motherfuckers you need to involve yourself with. Ass is cool, titties is cool, but it ain't enough. And the reason why I keep coming back to the sexual aspect and shit like that, because a lot of us are wired to only focus on that. A lot of the shit that we do, it's like when Kevin Samuels be breaking down the high value man, what does he describe as the woman? Oh, you got to be in shape. You got to be this. Our focus in life is to achieve something, to get a bad bitch. You feel me? Or to get a physically appealing woman. It ain't got shit to do with anything outside of that. Why do you achieve? Why do you work? Why do you get? No, it's not for the satisfaction of myself. I'm not focused for me. I'm focused for what my focus can give me, which can easily lead me to be distracted. You wonder why you align with gold diggers. If your focus is on a certain monetization to align with a certain woman, guess what kind of women you gonna get, stupid motherfucker? You feel me? I myself used to have this issue. I used to worry about this. I'm like, you know, I used to always want to say, okay, I want to meet the woman that I'm supposed to be with while I'm in my entrepreneurship journey, because like she with me shooting in the gym, blase and shit. It's like, yo, then I know she really there for me. And I'll be like, yo, once I achieve it, I ain't gonna want to get with a woman. I'm thinking she gonna just want me for me. No, if I focus on a woman wanting me that way, that's what's gonna happen. But if I focus on a woman who can be what's going to help me maintain this, if I can focus on what's going to keep my focus intact, that's what's going to come. You feel me? We be focused on the wrong shit. Therefore, our achievements are going to be limited and they're going to cause us to be easily distracted. And our focus is going to be hard to get to. I don't focus and worry about no more like how a woman is going to do certain shit anymore. I focus on myself. And then I am able to see what is in alignment with what I'm focusing on. It's easy to see me in this world when I know who the fuck I am. Like I always say, I look at relationships, not only relationships, anything that I do, I have to see myself in it. You feel me? If I don't see myself in it, it's not there. I shouldn't be focusing on it. You feel me? So when I learned how to tap into that, my focus changed, because like, how am I going to put myself in this? How do I see myself in this? This is whether it be business opportunities, women, all of these different things. My focus is wired into that. And so I gotta express that and explain to the brothers and shit. Like, when it comes to our focus, like, focus on you. Don't be self-centered and self-lust. No, because self-lust is about, I'm gonna be stagnant, I'm comfortable here. Now, self-love is about the actual improvement, the correction for yourself to make yourself better. Be focusing on making yourself better and only aligning yourself. If you focus on making yourself better, all you will see is things that can lead to your betterment every time. But if you focus on, I'm good where I'm at, you're going to focus on shit that's going to keep you where the fuck you at.
And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes merch and get your merchandise right now.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Because as always, I got shit to do. But yeah, this conversation was really prompted, like I said, because I was talking to the homie and he was asking me how I stay focused, and it was hard to explain. Well, it wasn't hard to explain, but, you know, I felt like this is a conversation that's happened multiple times. I've had multiple people, multiple brothers ask me about what do they do to stay focused. You got to focus on you, bro. But you got to know what you're supposed to be focusing on. And everything tied to your mission, everything tied to your vision will be seen. You will be able to see it. If you focus on your vision and your vision is only what you can see, think about it like this. Your vision is only what you can see. And you know how you have to see your vision. When you're truly focused on your vision, everything that you see along those ways, along those lines, are supposed to be in your focus and supposed to be in your vision. Good, bad, or ugly, it doesn't matter. You have to identify that certain things are distractions, certain things are attractions. You have to figure that out. You feel what I'm saying? Focus on it. Focus. When you are truly focused and tapped in and wired correctly to how you're supposed to be divinely tapped in, it's easy to focus. Focus ain't hard. And once you focus, you'll be motivated. It's almost like, motivation is easy. Discipline is easy because you're focused. Focus is when you are not taking your eye off of what you're supposed to be looking at on a metaphysical level. Your inner eye, your intuition, your intuitive nature has to be focused on your reality. Your intentions have to be wired to what you're focusing on. You focus on what you're intentionally trying to do. You focus on that shit. You feel me? You can't focus on what you don't want to have. You dig what I'm saying? I'm using women solely because it's so for a conversation. This is typically what we focus on the most. When I stop focusing on women who are just like not shit or who can keep me in a space where I don't have to work and progress myself anymore, like I stopped fucking with them. I was more so focused, like that's what came into my space, and I had to realize this ain't it. But then the moment I started to focus on, okay, bam, only things that align with my focus, it came into it. Opportunities, different positions, like change your focus, reinvigorate what you're focused on. Write that shit down, what you want to focus on, and focus on it. Only align yourself with that shit. Only see that shit in your vision. Because if it ain't in your focus, it ain't supposed to be there. You dig what I'm saying? Otherwise, it's just going to distract you. It's just going to distract you. Think about the bigger picture, the things that you want for your life. You feel me? And think about what it is that you're supposed to be focused on. Focus on that shit. Fully, wholly, committedly focus on it. Appeal to your senses and how well, especially your sense of sound, sight, and touch. Those things are going to be what helps you focus on your shit fully, wholly, undoubtedly. That's your focus. When you need to make adjustments, when things are like, okay, this aligns with my focus, I need to do this to focus better, or whatever the case may be, do it. You feel me? A distraction is only a distraction when you allow it to be. But you won't even know what you're distracted by if you don't have a solid vision for your focus. Focus, bro. Focus, focus, focus. Tap in. Start setting intentions, intentional processes, intentional thoughts to make yourself be what you need it to be. And don't allow anything that is not within the focus to enter your field. Yes, things are going to get your attention. Ooh, things are going to get your attention, but everything that gets your attention isn't what you're supposed to be attracted to. If you just walk in and you see a snake slither by you, that gets your attention. You're not attracted to snakes though, are you? No. But your focus was to run, to go on this run for a mile. Don't let what gets your attention take you off of your focus and attract you from deviating from where you're going. You feel what I'm saying? Don't lose focus and keep your focus solid and locked into the full gamut of what it is that you want to achieve in life. I don't know who I'm talking to on this one, but this episode came from a different place. I was in a whole different pocket with this one, like as far as myself. Like I'm low-key kind of just coming down off this one. Like somebody needed to hear this. Maybe it was for my own self. I don't know. But focus is the quintessential piece to ascending and elevating yourself as a man. Define what it is that you want to focus on. Define what it is that you want to achieve and focus on making that happen. And I can assure you that everything that is aligned to work with that is going to be what's in your vision. It doesn't just happen. You don't miss opportunities. You don't lose. Like you're focused and you can see whenever the opportunity is ready because you create the opportunities when you focus on what you're supposed to focus on. Manifestation is not hard. Alchemy is not hard. Acknowledging the and reaping the blessings of the universe, the world, God, Allah, Jehovah, Yeshua, Krishna, Buddha. Being blessed is not hard. It is is a function of being focused. That's a bar. Being blessed is a function of being focused. And when you truly blessed, it's because you're fucking focused. It ain't an accident. It ain't favor. It ain't none of that shit. It's focus. Because now you're seeing your blessings fall. Your blessings will never be in disguise. You're able to use them accordingly. You're able to see what it is because you're focused on it, bro. So tap in. Focus and wire your focus to your intention so they hit your unconscious mind and don't deviate from that shit. Be focused on it every single day, every moment of life until you have it. And then redefine your focus. Be fruitful, be multiply. Multiply. You feel me? I ain't even gonna hold you. Writing So Frail 3 took me so long because I had nothing to focus on after it. Low key, I was nervous. I was scared because I was like, what else am I gonna do? Like as long as I had So Frail 3 to write, and as long as I had, like when I finished So Frail 3, I finished the Master the Market course. I finished everything that I planned for myself that I wanted to have. I had nothing else to focus on. So I got scared. And I was like, if I don't write the book, then I don't have to worry about focusing on something new. But now that I finished the book and I came to terms with it, that it's time to focus on something new, what I'm focused on now for that next phase, the right things are coming into my space again. No distractions, but focus. And this is as far as, friendships, relationships, women, new opportunities, new obstacles, new challenges, new different moments of growth and development. I'm focused on something new now. Because all of this was a part of my 5-year plan that I started in 2015. I'm 1 year out of my 5-year plan now. And my focus is giving me everything that I wanted to have. So now the fun begins because it's like, now what am I going to focus on? Because I know what it means to focus for real. And I know that it's going to give me everything I want. But I got to focus. Bro, you got to focus. If you want to have everything you want, focus on getting it. And let nothing distract you. So I'm going to end it there. Make sure you kiss your babies. No, go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And if as much as you can, teach your children the art of focus early. The power of focusing and not being distracted. And it's going to be hard because kids easily distracted, but also kids easily focus. We say it all the time. When kids get quiet, that's not a good sign. When kids are quiet, they're focused. They're fucking focused. They're focused as shit. It's on us as parents, it's on us as adults to guide their focus, to see why it is that they're focused on that shit. Because kids are already open. They're already open. So sometimes they're exploring and they're learning and developing, and their focus is found within what we don't know they found it in. And it's on us to guide that, to make sure they get focused, to make sure they lock in. Focus motherfuckers are quiet. Focus motherfuckers are quiet. I had a homegirl, she used to always tell me, like, because I go on hiatuses and shit from social media, whatever the case may be, and she'll ask me, like, what you working on? It's like, how the fuck I'm working for? She said, you only get quiet when you're focused. Never put two and two together, never said it, like actually uttered the words myself. And it's like, that's the reality. Just like a fucking kid, just like a fucking baby and a toddler. When shit gets quiet, you focused. Don't lose that. Don't lose that. We got punished and chastised when we was kids because the shit that we was fucking on. Yeah, Vaseline everywhere. We coloring on walls and shit, whatever the case may be. But we focused. So it's on the parent to figure out, okay, let's guide this focus. Let's guide this focus. So use that to leverage that with your kids and remember that within yourself. When you get focused, you silence the world out and you get silenced to the world. You're quiet to the world. Nobody can hear you anymore when you're focused, except what's supposed to hear you. Tying that back into the parent. When the parent hears that it's too quiet, they're supposed to hear you. They hear your focus. The people that can hear your silence, because silence, like I always say, silence is the loudest thing we'll never hear. When people can hear when people can hear your silence, they respect your focus. That's a fucking bar. When people can hear your silence, they respect your focus. But I'm going to end it there because that could be a whole nother tangent, a whole nother rabbit hole. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.